Hello everybody and welcome to another One Stop Wrestling podcast. I'm Alex, and with one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time just around the corner, today we're going to be looking back at some of the best matches in WrestleMania history. WrestleMania is arguably the premier event in wrestling, having completely taken wrestling global back in the mid-80s and has 40 years of amazing matches and unforgettable moments. There's a reason it's called the granddaddy of them all and the showcase of the immortals, and in that time we've seen some incredible matches. So, without further ado, here are our top 5 matches in WrestleMania history. First, we'll start with a few honourable mentions, as there are so many great matches and picking a top 5 was extremely difficult. First honourable mention, Randy Savage vs Ricky Steamboat for the Intercontinental Championship, WrestleMania 3. This was the best match from the much renowned WrestleMania 3. Savage and Steamboat put on a classic in-ring match that is still talked about to this day. The two told a brilliant story of the plucky babyface Steamboat conquering the despicable heel champion Savage. It was a battle of two warriors and both left it all out on the mat that evening. Second honourable mention, Bret Hart vs Owen Hart, WrestleMania 10. A classic rivalry of brother versus brother, which culminated in a fantastically wrestled match at WrestleMania 10. Bret Hart was the clean-cut babyface who the crowd adored due to his incredible in-ring skills. And Owen Hart was the jealous, ungrateful younger brother who played the heel wonderfully during this feud. The two had a match special and executed everything to precision. Final honourable mention, The Rock vs Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWE Championship, WrestleMania X7. The cap-off match to the Attitude Era. A match that was one of the biggest star power-wise of all time. Two massive stars at the peak of their careers fighting for the WWE Championship at the biggest pay-per-view of all time, bringing an end to the biggest boom period wrestling has ever seen. The match swerved massively at the end as Austin turned heel, which in hindsight wasn't the best decision, but either way, the match ruled. Now, on to the main list. Number 5, Shawn Michaels vs Kurt Angle, WrestleMania 21. The first match on the list is the Showstopper versus the Wrestling Machine in a wrestling masterpiece. For many years and for many fans, this was a dream match. Arguably the best performer to ever step foot in the ring against arguably the best technical wrestler to ever lace up a pair of boots. But for years we didn't see it, as both were on separate shows, not to mention Shawn's back injury as Kurt was breaking out. The stage was set at WrestleMania 21 for the dream encounter, and two of the best to ever do it did not disappoint. For over 25 minutes, the two told a compelling story whilst using great in-ring psychology, with both superstars using superb technical wrestling to try and outdo the other. The match slowly built to a gripping conclusion with some great near falls, including an epic angle slam from the top rope. Angle finally secured the victory with an ankle lock, forcing Mr. WrestleMania to tap out after being in the hold for well over a minute. A wrestling clinic with psychology, selling and brilliant technical wrestling from two of the best in-ring performers of all time. Number 4. Triple H vs Shawn Michaels vs Chris Benoit, triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship, WrestleMania 20. This is a controversial one for obvious reasons. However, the match and the moment in a vacuum was outstanding. Of course, it's the scintillating triple threat match from WrestleMania 20 featuring World Heavyweight Champion at the time Triple H, Shawn Michaels and Royal Rumble winner Chris Benoit. Taking place in the famous Madison Square Garden, the main event of 2004's Mania was fast-paced, drama-filled, feel-good match as it saw the crowd favourite and career hard worker Chris Benoit capture the world title for the first time in his WWE career to a huge reaction. The crowd were firmly behind Benoit the whole match, but the performance of all three superstars was incredible. Triple H played the end boss heel, who was champion for a long time and who the crowd were desperate to see lose his belt. Michaels added his big-time match experience and incredible athletic ability, while Benoit played the underdog babyface, trying to capture his WrestleMania moment. Excellent triple threat sequences had the crowd eating up everything the three men did, and were incredibly hot for the finish, which saw Benoit dispose of Michaels and lock in the crossface on the tyrannical champion for the clean tap-out win, which saw the crowd erupt. Then WWE champion and longtime friend of Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, came out for the post-match celebration, which saw an emotional embrace of the two friends and a big statement from WWE, which showed that smaller, more technical wrestlers could headline the biggest shows of the year, paving the way for future stars like Daniel Bryan to do similar. At the time, a genuinely feel-good WrestleMania moment and a culmination of Chris Benoit's career to that point. Number 3. The Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian, a TLC match for the Tag Team Championships, WrestleMania X7. At number 3 on the list is the crazy tables, ladders and chairs match between three of the best tag teams of that era. The champions, the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. The match took place at the fabled WrestleMania X7, which is still heralded as the greatest wrestling pay-per-view of all time. This match was insane from minute one, with all three teams using all of the furniture available to beat the ever-loving hell out of each other. Crazy spots, death-defying leaps, and terrifying moments that will live in fans' memories forever. From Jeff Hardy's swanton off the top of a ladder through 2 tables, to Matt Hardy and Bubba Dudley crashing through 4 tables off the top of a ladder, to Edge's memorable spear off the ladder onto Jeff Hardy, who was hanging from the title belts. These moments are forever etched in WrestleMania and TLC folklore. After all the chaos, destruction and broken bodies, it was Edge and Christian who stood tall at the end to become the tag team champions once again. Number 2. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, WrestleMania 25. This is one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. This match encapsulates perfectly the grandeur and big-time stage of WrestleMania and how to put on an absolute show for the fans. The two legends went back and forth for over 25 minutes with amazing storytelling, selling and big moves which left the crowd on the edge of their seats throughout the match. The match started off slowly but really picked up after a terrifying spot in which Undertaker leaped over the top rope and landed headfirst on a cameraman. Taker was incredibly not injured from this, and when the two got back into the ring, it was an absolute showcase from there on in on how to build drama and excitement. Michaels and Taker hit signature move after signature move, with multiple near falls that had the crowd gasping at the story the two were telling. Choke slams, last rides and tombstones were kicked out of, as well as multiple sweet chin musics, which left the crowd ultimately wondering if Shawn would be the one to break The Undertaker's hallowed WrestleMania streak. One misstep from Shawn at the end led to a second tombstone and the win for the dead man, which extended his incredible streak to 17-0. This is exactly how to do a big-time spectacle of a match on the biggest stage in the game, and the two legends did the same the year after in the career versus streak match that was also very unlucky not to feature in this list. An absolute wrestling masterpiece from arguably the two greatest WrestleMania performers in history. And number 1, Bret Hart versus Steve Austin in a submission match, WrestleMania 13. This won't be a surprise to many. It's often regarded as the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. A match that had huge implications in the years to follow and for WWE in general as it transitioned into the Attitude Era. Bret Hart versus Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13 was an influential match as it showcased violence, brawling and lots of blood, which Vince McMahon was furious at after there was a ban on blood in WWE at the time. But it added that bit extra to the match that took it to even higher levels. The two beat the hell out of each other with weapons, ringside brawling and any manner of object available to them, all while being policed by Special Enforcer and UFC submission specialist Ken Shamrock. Hart won the match with a sharpshooter after working on Austin's leg throughout the match, but it was the fact that Austin refused to give up, instead passing out from the blood loss and the pain, which created iconic scenes and showcased Austin's fortitude. This, coupled with the fact Bret refused to let go of the hold and was generally drawing the ire of the fans as they preferred the cooler Austin, led to a seldom seen event in wrestling, which worked perfectly on this night: the double turn. Austin naturally became a babyface and Hart a heel after the match, which led to the incredible rivalry with Austin and the whole Hart family throughout 1997, and it was this feud and the development of Austin's anti-hero character which saw a huge swing in the ratings for the WWE, in which they never looked back. The match may have been the catalyst for Austin's legendary career and WWE's influential Attitude Era, which saw them drive WCW out of business by 2001. In our opinion, the best match in WrestleMania history. Well, there you have it. Those were the top 5 matches in WrestleMania history. Do you agree with our list? Don't forget to like and subscribe to One Stop Wrestling on YouTube and go and check out our other videos. Until then, we'll see you next time for another One Stop Wrestling podcast.